Welcome to the Newfangled Workshop Podcast. Before we get into it, let's hear a little disclaimer.
The views expressed here are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of the United States Military Academy, the United States Army, or the Department of Defense.
All right, recording is up and running. Welcome to whatever episode this is. I think it's 14. I think this is episode 14 tonight. We're going to do rapid fire stuff. We're just jumping in and having conversation. We have 5 questions, and the over-under is...
Rapid what?
Rapid fire.
Oh,
right?
okay. That means we're going to do something quickly?
Correct. Our goal is try to
I'm
constrain yourself. Try to constrain yourself. You're going to be okay. But we're taking the over-under on whether we get past question 3 or not, because getting the question 5
I want
is
to
going
dig in a little bit on exactly what is meant by quickly.
No. If you can't interpret that, you got to contextualize, and I have faith in both of you that you can do this. So I'm Matt. I'm from Minnesota, and I'm on with 2 of my brothers this evening. So if you could introduce yourselves.
I'm Led. I'm coming to you from the Blue Room in New York.
And Stephen, and I am in Chantilly, Virginia.
Excellent. So welcome aboard, brothers. Here we go. We'll start with the very first one. Could you tell us about a smooth move that you've made in the shop recently? And what I mean by that is something you were like, oh, I could have done that differently. After you did it, you retrospectively think back and say, wow, I could have done that. Or you made a mistake and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that profile tool path with a V-carve bit or something like that. So the question is there a smooth move that you've made recently that you look back on and you're like, yeah, I could have done better with that in the shop?
I'm going to go with my garbage hauling cart. So I have a very, very long driveway, and I made this little wooden cart for hauling my garbage to the curb. I made a joint in between the upright T. So there's like a flat part and then like a part that sticks up like this that has a T on it so that I can bungee the garbage cans to it. And I chose 5-inch wheels. I should have gone more like 8 or 10. So I would say that my persistent regret in the shop is undersizing something, whether it's a connection, a piece of timber, a wheel, whatever. And then I come back later and I'm like, yeah, I should have gone for the extra $8, or $10.
I'm going to say I'm with you on that. In the shop, just on the concrete, I use 5-inch casters. Anything that goes outside needs the 10-inch pneumatic wheels.
Yeah. I should have gone pneumatic.
Yeah. So, Steven, any smooth moves? We're going to move it right along here. I think the T-cart thing was a great idea. The wheels. Steven, any smooth moves?
I struggle because, I'm just that good.
Mr. Perfect.
But I don't know. I cut out some stool parts the other day, and I cut out the perimeter first, and then I cut out the mortise and tenon, basically, after that. And once you cut the perimeter on the system I was using, like the stool top is round. Like trying to cut the mortise and tenon in the stool top's going to move because it's not pinned to anything.
Yeah, chucking up a circle is a problem.
Yeah, so I guess the lesson there is I had to go back and re-swizzle the order of operations so that it worked nicely. That's what I got.
Okay, excellent. Mine was a very easy one. This is a very basic shop safety thing. I was manipulating a large piece of plywood through the shop. I wanted to cut literally 3/8 of an inch off of one end, and so I was like, "Oh, the bandsaw is perfect." And so I have this 6-foot long piece of plywood that's only 20 inches wide, and I'm going to cut a 3/8 of an inch off the end. On the short axis, right? So I'm just trying to cut a very small thing, but I'm manipulating the board very far away. And so I set up the fence, and I was very happy with the whole operation, and I started cutting. And when I got to the end of my cut, I went to back up a step, and I tripped over my dust collection hose. Right.
Oh, God.
And I just didn't keep my work area clean of a trip hazard. And so I left myself a trip hazard on the floor, and I felt silly. It was a very easy organizational thing that easy to fix. And I just wish I would have taken the 20 seconds to look around me before I made my cut.
So Matthew, the carpenter has to ask the woodworker, the framer has to ask the woodworker, the hell are you cutting plywood with a bandsaw? You need a skill saw. Do I need to mail you one? Because I got extras.
I got a skill saw, right? Like I hate the
Does
skill
the skill
saw.
saw make your teeth hurt? Are you one of those woodworkers? It's just
I
like
just
you get out the skill saw, you're like, this is not a precision tool.
It is not a precision tool,
I knew he was going to say it. He couldn't help it.
and I here's the deal. I had used the table saw to cut off some pieces, and the piece that I had left was 62 and 3/8, and I needed to get it to 62 inches. And my fence isn't big enough on the table saw for me to put the 63-inch thing through my table saw. So I'm not taking the time to set up the track saw to cut a 20-inch little.
A track saw. Matthew. Okay, so there is this whole class of carpentry where the piece of wood stays still and you move the tool.
Yeah, you don't get a straight edge when you do that.
You know what I got? Matt?
What did you got?
Panel saw.
Oh, those things are so amazing.
They are. I love the panel saw.
So I went over to the theater shop.
Luxury, bloody luxury.
I went over to the theater shop where they do all the scene shop where they're doing all of the panels and the flights and stuff. And I used their panel saw for the first time. I'd never used one. That thing's a dream.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like I need one of the panel saws. Awesome. All right. All right, so we did pretty good. We were 5 minutes. That was a question. That was great. So here's the next question for you. If you had some budget, what would be the next tool you would add to your toolkit? Right. So what's like the dream tool or the tool that you're like, I've been thinking about getting XYZ. What have you been thinking about getting? We'll start with Steven. What's the current like, oh, I should go to Harbor Freight. I really got to get me a
2-post lift.
a two-post lift. This is
So I
for
think,
this is for the cars?
yeah, I mean, it's like if you're going to service the car, you need something to lift it up in the air, right?
I thought we had like the red ramps. What happened to the red ramps?
Yeah, right now I have quick jacks, right, which will pick the car up 24 inches off the ground.
Nice.
But it's not. But you're still on your back when you're working, right, on a dolly or whatever.
Yeah, you're on a creeper.
Yeah, creeper. There you go. But yeah, so if I had some budget, I'd get a 2-post lift. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Led, what would you be adding to your toolkit if you had some budget?
So I would add a fancy portable workbench that you can also put like heavy stuff on, right? So that I could go anywhere on the micro farm, set up my little mini workbench. So I'm carrying the mini workbench, I'm carrying a bag full of battery tools. I can just set up anywhere and just start working.
So you're talking something like a little Craftsman Workmate or something?
Well, okay. So I had this really awesome. It was I think it was made by Husky. I don't really remember who it was made by. Maybe it was Craftsman. I had this really awesome little plastic workbench thing that weighed almost nothing and just took amazing abuse for like 10 years. And then I ran over it with the plow. So
that was a smooth move. That was excellent.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking about it, but the thing is when I went and tried to find one that was identical to replace my old one, like they last made those and they must have caused like cancer in babies or something because you cannot get one, So I don't know. I guess Fauci must have stepped in and canceled all workbenches like that or something. I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you that the tool I've been dreaming about recently is some form of stationary belt sander. Right. So something's like an edge sander or that I can like go up and take my piece and like round over a corner to the line kind of thing. So either like a 12-inch disc sander or some kind of 6-inch sanding setup that isn't just a belt sander.
Not a palm sander, Matthew?
I've got 7 or 8 of those in the arsenal. That's not the issue. The issue is being able to manipulate the piece against the stationary sanding operation.
Yeah.
So either like an oscillating spindle sander, they make a couple of pretty cheap ones they got like a little 45 fold down in the front and you can move up against the edge and then work around the edge. But I need some kind of stationary sander. is the thing I've been dreaming about.
I used one today. So I built a stool top and then I poured the glaze coat over the stool top and it dripped down. So it had this one, I'd done 3 coats of glaze coat. So it had maybe a ½ inch of little
Nubbies.
stalagmites, whatever on the backside. And I can clean those up pretty quick and they can be a pain to clean up. So I use an oscillating saw to cut them down to close to level. And then we have a 12-inch stationary sander with its diameter. It's like a round disc with a table on it. And I can take the stool top on the stubby side and run it around on that. And that one is set up specifically to hog the material off. It's set up like an 80 grit or a 60 grit, right? And so I could hog off all those little nubs, the 10% last 10% of the nubs with that in like less than 5 minutes on a 12-inch round stool top.
Oh no,
Nice.
they're aggressive. Now, Led, as a carpenter, you're not very familiar with the sanding operation, but there's grit, right?
What? Matthew,
You can put it on the palm sander, right?
I seem to remember a certain person doing a random orbit palm sander at a certain other person's house and showing them how it's done there. I seem to remember something about that.
You tried to sand plywood. Come on.
And it looked beautiful. It looked beautiful. It's like a baby's bottom. It was perfect.
Yeah, perfect. It was perfect. All right. Okay, we're moving on to question 3. Here's question 3 for you. Are there lessons you think people have to learn for themselves? Are there lessons that no matter how much you try to tell them, until they experience a thing for themselves or they learn that lesson themselves, they don't really understand it, right? Like you can tell them 100 times, don't do this thing. And the first time they see how it goes wrong, or they understand the lesson. Are there things in your craft or in your shop that you think people have to learn for themselves?
Yeah, safety glasses, I think, is the number one. Like that you just never, ever, ever don't use safety glasses. And I think everybody's got to get like some chunk of something bounced off their cheek or forehead, hopefully. And they're like, oh, I was just driving nails. Yeah, and you missed and you hit the number 8 nail with the hammer a little bit sideways and it popped up and stuck in your forehead. So like probably should wear safety glasses. So I'd say safety glasses is number one. You see people, especially when they're working on a construction site outdoors, they're taking off the safety glasses for cooling all the time, and you just can't do it. But I don't know how to get people to stop doing that, except for they figure out that they want to have their eye not put out. So I'd say safety is like number one, that things that people like, they just have to learn themselves.
The only time I've gotten debris in my face, I wasn't using a power tool. I was using a chisel and a mallet, and I thought I was perfectly safe. Everything's going great. And it just smacked something and it bounced the wrong way and it came up and grazed my cheek. And I was like, that's not even a power tool. And so yeah, I'm with you, Led. Safety goggles, right? Like once you experience that thing in your face, you're like, oh yeah, that's flying. That is actually coming at me.
Yeah, yeah. Even though I was doing something that in my mind, I didn't need hard hat / gloves /
Yep.
safety glasses / whatever it was that you needed.
Steven?
Oh, so I guess broad category, use the right tool for the right job, right? And more specific, when you're chucking bits for your screwdriver, right? Get the right one, because it's hard to explain to somebody that when you drive in a Phillips head, you need the number 2 for the number 2 size screw. You need the number 1 for the number 1 size screw. You need number 3 for the number 3 size screw. I can explain that to them. And it even goes a little bit further in that you have to line the tool up right. And so, because if you're using a crosscut saw or you're using a Phillips bit in a driver drill or impact, you choose. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion, driver drill or impact. But you have to line it up right? Use the right tool for the job and line it up right. Otherwise, you're going to strip out the head. It's not going to drive right, blah, blah, blah. So that's probably, in my mind, that's something you have to learn over time. I could tell you 3 times, but you would still not get it.
Oh, Steven, the Imperial socket set's the only one I have, and it kind of fits that metric bolt there, right? Like it's pretty close. So I just go, right?
You do you.
Right, right. And I'm with you. There's a difference between a number 6 and a number 8 Phillips screw, right? Those are not the same head on your drill bit.
Wait, what's a number 6? Is that like a little one or a tiny one or
Yeah.
what's
Number eight's a little bigger, I think.
that?
So when you're driving your woodworking screws, your little, pot dipped zinc stuff that you get over in the woodworking section.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do they
And
have
so,
those at hardware stores still, or you have to order that?
Precision, yeah.
yeah. And I'll say the one I'll tell you about, this is 15 years ago now when I was just learning to use the table saw. I was doing a miter cut. I had it on the miter gauge. I was pushing it through. I was using the stupid one that comes with the saw. And I hit a knot and the board moved just a little bit into the back of the blade. This was before riving knives. And it caught just a little bit. And the board, I was very far away from the blade. And the board didn't come back at me, but it lifted it up off the table enough to bend my thumb. And I realized, A, how lightning fast it happened, right? Like there is no time to react. And the amount of force that it used to pick up the board was pretty impressive. And so while I'd watched YouTube videos and I understood what kickback was, like I could explain it on a document, until you actually experience the saw grabbing your piece of wood. Boy, that's an eye-opening moment for me.
That's like when you're cutting a tree and it splits vertically.
Yeah.
A tree can split vertically halfway through a cut, and it's not like, oh, well, I heard it coming and I stepped away and whatever. It's just like you're standing there and then the tree splits vertically.
Right. Yeah, chainsaws. That's a whole nother. We could do a whole lesson on chainsaws.
Well, I was thinking router, right? I mean, like a conventional cut versus a climb cut. Until you're knee deep in it, all the schoolwork won't explain what's going to go on there. Right.
I spend about 10 minutes. So I was doing a dado and I had to make the dado just a little bit wider than it was. So do you push the fence away from you or do you bring the fence closer to you? And I made the wrong decision one time and it grabbed the piece and threw it because it started auto feeding. And that auto feeding, when you go the wrong way with the router in the climb cut, right? So climb cuts have to be very, very shallow. This was not shallow. It just took the wood out of my hands. Like I'm pushing on and where'd it go? I don't know what happened. And I had to go look for the piece of wood. It threw it so far. Right? It's a real thing. All right, we're on to question 4. Critics aside, we're on to question 4. You ready?
I always knew we would.
Okay. So gloves. Are you pro gloves, anti glove? So some of the time when working with the exotic wood, something like a Purple Heart or a Wenge, sometimes working with Paduk, the splinters can be really super severe, right? Like it's not just like, oh, a little piece of pine, I'll take a piece of tweezers and pull it out. The splinters can be significant and they're very splintery woods when working with some of the exotics. And so some of the guys are very big on, I'm going to have a pair of gloves while I'm working around my tool set to make sure that I don't, right? Like that. I'm going to have a pair of work gloves. These are sold as work gloves, right?
Yeah. So this is, what's going on here? No, that's not good.
Okay. Let's back to being
For
on
some reason,
brand.
you guys got so tiny on my screen all of a sudden.
Yeah, because you shared your screen.
Oh, and then you guys got so tiny. Anyway, yeah. So because I mostly do framing type stuff, like this is a constant for me. That's a must have, a pair of gloves like that and usually with a relatively thin fingers. And I buy these by the 5. So I'll buy 5 pairs at once. And the reason I buy 5 pairs at once is because I never want to not grab a pair that has no holes. So I make sure that there's no temptation to nurse a pair of gloves past its useful life. And then you'll notice these also have a reinforced palm or a palm, which is sort of cushioned. And that's because I have a really bad tendency to slam things with my hand to try to move them, whether you're moving a truss around or banging a piece of plywood or whatever it is. and I end up with bruises on my hand from doing that, and this helps to prevent that.
So what tools are you using while wearing these gloves?
An Estwing hammer, a palm sander, a air nailer, screw gun, uh, skill saw, chop saw,
Tape measure,
tape measure, definitely, yes,
pencil.
all the time. And also, I mean, I'm in New York, and so like through the end of April, I want the gloves anyway, just for warmth.
Yeah.
You know, or I lose months of time when I could be outside doing stuff. And you know, I use these for auto mechanic stuff. I use these for heavy carpentry, whatever.
So it scares me when you say that you use them on your miter saw and or your chop saw and you use them on your skill saw. Rotary tools and gloves. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, mostly I'm protecting my hands from the splinters and from the piece itself.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I understand the principle of you like the wood's going to give you a splinter.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you know, you don't want to be handling a 12-foot 2x8, you know, with your bare hands.
Okay, Steven, in your shop, gloves, pro, con.
So I'm going to give engineering answer number one. It depends.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Context. Context is king.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, for certain tasks, gloves are good. Like when I'm working with resin, I wear the rubber gloves, right? Or the latex free, whatever they're, nitrile, right? Um, or if I'm, working with plywood or, construction like lumber, or sometimes with certain sheet metal, I'll wear gloves, right? Most of the time, though, that's probably 20% of the time I do that. Other times, really it's not necessary in the things I do.
Yep.
So I just go by hand. There's certain areas in our shop that gloves are prohibited, right? In our CNC area, gloves are prohibited.
Smart.
And then in our blacksmith area, gloves are prohibited. And really, the blacksmith area is more about the gloves will mask the heat, right? And so you can get damaged more by having a protective glove than not, right?
Interesting.
So, you always see in the movies, blacksmiths always wear gloves, but in real life, not so much.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess there were a couple times the guys will grab them, like when they're cryo quenching or when they're working with a heat treat oven, very, very specific times, but in general, no.
Yeah. The
Excuse me.
yeah.
Pardon.
So the around the table saw, big no. In my shop, I use gloves. I use the blue surgical glove kind of thing, right, for doing any of the finishing, playing with any of the poly or playing with any of that stuff. But around the tools, absolutely a no. Just because it's one more thing that the tool can grab, right? So like the
Right.
idea, yeah, the tool grabbing the fabric and then pulling your hand with it towards the blade, you're gonna lose that fight. I think. And
I mean,
so
a chop saw or a skill saw, though, right? Like, I mean, I feel like you got to have a pair of gloves on.
on the
Yeah,
so,
well, so I think the point is, what I've gathered is it's about entanglement,
yes,
right? So the thing, gloves or no gloves, or long sleeves, or long hair, or necklaces, or pendants, or long earrings, what have you. So like your gloves, Led, are very specifically designed for working, so they don't have a lot of like fringe that can grab into a
No,
circular
that's
saw or
I
something.
buy them as tight as they'll fit. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I think the whole point of glove or no glove is about the entanglement. Is something going to grab your glove and drag you into the tool?
Right. Drill
Right.
press. So with the drill press, I would never use a pair of gloves like this.
yeah.
Like
Because
drill press, lathe, um, uh, even belt sander, I probably would not use a pair of gloves like this, you know, because I don't want something getting caught.
Yep.
But for, you know, my basic battery powered field tools or for like an air nailer, definitely I'm using it. And for me, my big risk, of course, is the plywood and the heavy timber tearing in my hands. That's the big risk.
Now we are on episode 14, I believe here. We've gotten the sense that Led does field work, right? Like he's out in. Are you not carrying around a generator with you yet, or like a solar panel to be
I
able to?
do. I do.
You do have a
So we have
generator.
two. I actually have two. I have three generators, depending on the size I need for a given task.
He puts them in his K truck, and then he.
Well, so like this year's project will be about 15 minutes hike into the woods.
Yep.
And so, do I want 1700 watts at 30 pounds, or do I want 3800 watts at 60 pounds, or do I want to like bring 8000 watts to like run a jackhammer or something for split and stone or whatever? And that's like a 4-man carry, right? Like,
So Led, here's my vision of Led going out to the job site. He's got his little K truck. All the tools are in the dump truck section. He gets to the job site and he just pushes the button, and there goes all the tools out on the ground.
no,
Right.
that's nice. And also, you have to have young people with you. So another key tool is young people, because like I think the foundations for the bridge we're going to attempt this year is, well, it's whatever 80 times 80 is. So it'll
6,400.
yeah, it'll be a little over 3 tons of sacrete that we got to carry into the site. And that's all
Wheels.
that's all hand carried. That's every bag going about 500 yards.
No wheels. We can't portage it in.
Wheelbarrow. It's got a wheelbarrow.
So I may try to do some kind of trick line or fly line to try to take it some distance along there. But really, you can only go 50 or 100 feet with a fly line unless you're ready to put in some really heavy duty cabling.
Okay. Good.
And
Steven,
500 yards would be like 60 fly lines, and that's just not.
Steve and I stepped on you when I wanted to tell my joke about Led just throwing his tools all over the ground.
No, I forget what I was saying.
Okay.
Move on.
All right. Hey, we have one more question. We got to question 5, brothers. We are on track. We are staying focused.
Well, Led, back to your little like moving sacrete. The guys that do the trail, the reconstruction, the trail maintenance, they have some really clever wagons to
They have some power. There are some so-called power wagons out there, or power.
But even manual, like just a fancy wheelbarrow, so to speak.
Yeah, with really big like mountain bike wheels on them and stuff.
Yeah. You should get one of those for the guys.
Yeah.
Put it in the budget.
It's good for them.
Okay. So
build character.
So we all have a garage. Inside our garage, there's a set of tools, right? And we've talked about the different tools and the different things that we do and stuff. My question is, Jimmy Joe Bob from next door shows up, sees one of your tools hanging on the wall and says, "Hey, I need that for my project next weekend. Can I borrow your air gun nailer and your pancake compressor?" Right? Like, hey, I just want to borrow your compressor for the weekend. I got a project I got to work on. This is the tool lending or borrowing. How do you feel about lending out your tools to friends and family? Let's just give it a thumbs up. He's moving us right along.
I'm for it. I'm going to do a tile job. I don't do enough tile anything. I'm going to do like a tile thing at my house.
Yep.
I'm going to borrow a buddy's, tile cutting saw.
Borrow mine.
It doesn't seem like on my block, like 15 people should own a tile cutting saw for the one bathroom they're going to do in their life or whatever. And so, from a point of view of sustainability and community building, I think, you should definitely loan tools.
Steven?
I'd like to think this is more academic here, our discussion.
It is.
I'd like to think that I would loan the tools to a neighbor. Obviously, if they want to come over and repair something, we just do it in the driveway or whatever. That's happened many times. But I look at it like a lot of the tool choices I made when I was younger, I'd make different tool choices today. So I'm somewhat willing to lend the tools I have today. And, if they don't come back, then I get the opportunity to upgrade.
You're hoping they bust them. Oh,
right.
Oh, you dropped it. That's too bad. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Now I can get those chrome moly screwdrivers I always dreamed of because
I can buy that Festool
Exactly.
I wouldn't
saw.
buy them if I didn't need them, you know.
It's gonna be Festool. I'm getting some Festool.
Yes, 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 yes. You're gonna get one of the Merca Sanders or whatever. Right?
I love the idea of buying tools and blaming the neighbor. That's good. I like that, Steve.
Yeah, yeah. This is good technique. I'll tell you two of the things that I'm most proud of. A buddy showed up and he bought a canoe, and one of the transom rods had gone bad. So he had a transom rod that had snapped in half. It just rotted after X number of years. And so he showed up and said, "Hey, could you make me something like this?" And I spent about 3 or 4 hours in the shop and duplicated a piece for him, what I consider to be almost instantaneously, right? And so like it took me half a day and I handed it back to him like, "Here, you go put finish on this. I look what I did." Like I duplicated it for him. So I didn't want to lend him the tools. I didn't want him messing around in the shop. But here and then another buddy showed up. He had a little what's called a 3/4 boat, right? So a little sailboat that's a little 3/4 boat. It's like a little dinghy thing that, for a kid or whatever. And the tiller on it at the back had finally rotted out. And so again, the exact same operation. He dropped it off about 9 in the morning. I called him about 2 in the afternoon. It was like, "Hey, I got your new part for you. Here you go." Boom. So I love it when people bring me the project and I get to work on the project. That's a little different.
Wait, did any tuna casserole come back in the other direction in exchange for services here?
They're very good friends, and
Okay.
it was fun. I had more fun doing the project, right? For me, it was
Okay.
like I had fun doing it. Um, but the lending of the tools, I'm much more likely to invite myself over for the project, right? Like I come with my tool, right? Like so, oh, you want to do some nailing? Sure, I'll bring the nailer over and I'll help you do whatever it is you're doing. Like I'll totally insert myself into the project. Just because I have fun, right? I'm being extroverted, aggressively social in that manner, I think. But I do worry. One of the things that, and I've mentioned it a couple times in the show already, one of the things I'm learning about being in a shared space is that I have to check the tools before I use them, right? In my shop, I know whether I left that router bit in the collet where I wanted it, and I know that I tightened it because I'm the only one who's using that router. When I go to use a shared tool, I have to go through the checklist of, hey, is that collet on there tight? Because the kids have been known, some of my users have been known to drop the bit into the collet and not tighten it up, right? And so now it's sitting there loose in the thing, or
Yeah.
right, like they don't know to do it. I popped a bandsaw blade the other day because I went to put on the tension and I didn't realize that somebody had really super cranked down on the top of the thing because they didn't know what they were doing. I pulled the tension and it was so much that it snapped the saw blade.
Oh no.
Right. And so that was I was just, again, it's in my own personal space. I know I'm the one who made the last adjustments to the tool. I know what the situation is. In a shared space, I have to take the time to check. So if I lend you my tool, like lending out the screwdrivers and stuff, who cares, right? But lending out the bigger stuff is, I don't know. That's where I'm at. So down with the haters. I made it. We got 5 questions
Nice.
in. I don't think we're more than an hour into the program. I think we did great.
Nice.
Brothers, stand in awe. This is amazing.
Yeah. You prompted a question, so can I
Yeah, please
put a question
elaborate.
out there? I have a friend at the community workshop where I work,
Yep.
Makerspace, right? And he runs my CNC machine, right? The CNC
Yeah.
machine, it's a wood CNC with 3 horsepower spindle on it. There's the ER25 collet system, right? And the collet system is just like what's on a router, right?
Yep.
So it has the collet itself and a collet nut that you tighten on, just like a router, right?
Okay.
You guys tracking so far?
Yep.
Yeah. And then he has ruined 3 or 4 jobs that I've seen because he doesn't tighten the collet nut enough, right? So basically the bit, right, thanks for the expression, Led. The bit is basically loose in the machine. And as it's cutting, say it was supposed to cut a 1-inch thick tall board, halfway, half an inch in, it'll slip. So it's cutting 3/4 of an inch and a full inch into that board when it's only supposed to cut a half inch. And, love him to death. He's a good friend, but he just doesn't tighten the tool enough. And I started to buy some torque wrenches so we could really get him to, get everybody to make sure they're tight enough. But any suggestions on how to teach someone to tighten? And I don't think he has big arms. I think he's a more petite person,
Yep.
right? In fact, my younger son, he struggles taking lug nuts on and off. So I have to get him a big cheater bar.
Mhm.
So I think, the three of us are about 6 foot tall-ish, right? And, fairly athletic, right? So we have no trouble tightening a router bit, right? But some of my friends, they just can't tighten it tight enough to keep the bit in place. So anyhow, you're feeling the passion I have here. But
Yes. Yes.
I would think about getting so they make a wide variety of drills that have a clutch in them that releases at a certain pressure, right? So
yeah,
that
yeah,
the type of drill clutch
Yeah.
that I'm talking about.
yeah,
And then set the clutch to the appropriate thing and put the Allen wrench in there and just have it hanging, right? And bang. And you just keep going until you hear the clutch quit.
yeah. Okay, I like it. It won't. I mean, the scenario isn't exactly conducive to that, but I like the idea.
I like the torque wrench,
idea.
too, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Right, to put a metric on it so we can know whether it's
Yeah.
right or not. Right, to being able to assess it and put a metric on it. Like we talk about service level agreements, service level objectives, service level indicators.
Yeah.
If you don't have an indicator, the other two aren't worth anything. Right, we have to have
Fair.
a thing that we can monitor.
True.
Right, how do we know? And so
Okay.
so the other thing I've been thinking a great deal about this, and Stephen, I'd be interested in your shared space led how you're doing it at the new space. I've been thinking about putting up posters at each one of the tools for like, here are the 10 things that I want you thinking about when you use this tool. Did you tighten the nut enough? Right? Have you actually have you zeroed? Have you run your probe or have you zeroed X, Y, and Z for the CNC machine? So I think building it into some form of checklist is also, if you can get people using checklists. Now, what you're talking about, Stephen, is a behavioral pattern of like, hey, I'm just not paying enough attention and I'm not doing it. Right. And that's kind of a training thing.
But yeah, I'm not sure if he's strong enough to do it. Right.
And then, so can you use the tool then? Right? Do I need some kind of adaptive thing? Stephen, maybe
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Maybe a thing to do is get a longer set of wrenches for them so that they can put more leverage while they're tightening.
Yeah.
So a lot of the ones that you get are the short little like 9-inch wrenches.
Yeah.
But
they
maybe
fit
get
in the box with the router. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're thin, right? So they're kind of like the table saw arbor things that you get. They're thin little pieces of plastic instead of a big beefy socket wrench. So maybe getting him longer wrenches would be a solution to give him more force as he's doing the tightening.
Yeah.
It's
Good
an
idea.
It's just an idea.
So can I share something since we went for the
Yeah. This is a bonus time. This is the bonus round.
And this is called The Cathedral Builders by John Ormond, right? And we're all men of a certain age, the three of us. And so I thought, and this was shared with me by a very dear friend who likes to think about these sorts of things. And it's called Cathedral Builders by John Ormond. They climbed on sketchy ladders towards God with winch and pulley, hoisted hewn rock into heaven, inhabited sky with hammers, defied gravity, defied stone, took up God's house to meet him, and came down to their suppers and small beer. Every night slept, lay with their smelly wives, quarreled and cuffed the children, lied, spat, sang, were happy and unhappy, and every day took to the ladders again, impeded the rights of way of another summer's swallows, grew grayer, shakier, became less inclined to fix a neighbor's roof of a fine evening, saw naves sprout arches, clerestories soar, cursed the loud, fancy glaziers for their luck, somehow escaped the plague, got rheumatism, decided it was time to give it up, to leave the spire to others, stood in the crowd well back from the vestments at the consecration, envied the fat bishop in his warm boots, cocked up a squint eye and said, I bloody did that.
Nice.
That's nice, Len. So, Len,
Yeah.
I think you've queued up episode 15. How would you feel if I totally imposed on you and suggested that episode 15 be book recommendations around the art of craft? It's an idea.
I like that idea.
So, Len, you're saying that's a poem that your buddy wrote?
No, that's a poem by John Ormond, who a buddy of mine, recognizing that I might appreciate it, recommended to me. I love the idea that envied the fat bishop in his warm boots.
Yeah.
You know, I just love. There's so many great things about that poem. So
good stuff.
I think that carpentry is in the end a philosophical undertaking.
Do you make sure you have at least one mistake in each of your projects?
No, and not on purpose, but definitely I don't make sure, it just happens.
I'm just saying there's this whole shaker mentality idea that you have to have some imperfection to pay tribute to God because only God can make perfection.
Well, then God has been given great tribute by me.
I absolutely love it. Brothers, I enjoy this so much being with you guys, talking about our crafts, talking about what it is we do. I have learned a great deal in our 14 episodes so far. I hope we have another 140 to go.
All right, there you go.
All right, excellent. Steven, that's your marker for when you're going to do your editing. There's your,
Awesome.
there's
awesome.
there's your clapping. I'm going to stop recording.